Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Cassie Swindon, author of the Linked Trilogy and the Fairytale Flip Series, the latest book being The Never Hour, which I just finished really late in the night last night. And it's a Peter Pan retelling, and it's one of the best that I've read, so definitely check it out. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem. Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So I actually discovered you on the Phantom Ink book tour that you did, and that book was like the best. It's my favorite, I think, retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It was so good.
Yeah, I love that one because the gender swap, like that was my inspiration for all three of these. So the fact that I could put a female witch in the castle or the mansion instead of the beast, that was what I was really excited about.
Yeah, and I loved the origami. Like, do you do origami? Like, what prompted that, or did it just pop in your
No,
head?
I was just thinking like bookish girls. Like what do we like? We like paper, we like journals, we like washi tape. So I was like, I'm gonna do origami. It's paper like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was so unique and creative. I loved it, and I loved the whole story. I don't want to give any spoilers, but definitely read that book because it's such a unique take on Beauty and the Beast, and it was so good.
Thank you.
So yes. So basically, what I do on this channel is I meet with authors and I ask you a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about the writing process, just to get a little peek inside the person behind the books, hence the look behind the book little slogan that I have. So my first question for you is, what is your writing kryptonite?
Man, you started with the rough one. Goodness sakes. So probably imposter syndrome. You'll get this a lot if you ask other authors. Social media is really hard to be an author. I mean, obviously with any artist, but like just comparing yourself to other people out there. So, there's different groups that are all like with the intent of supporting each other. But sometimes when you see that someone else has had 40 books out or they're making 5 times much more than you are, it's just like, yeah, it's hard. So I try not to go on social media much other than just posting and promoting, but that's not really how it works because you're supposed to engage and everything. So that is hard with the imposter syndrome with kind of comparing myself to other authors. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that that would be something where you're struggling with yourself and like, am I this, am I that? Like that would be really hard, I think, to turn that off. In my mind, at least, I would be like worrying about it.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't usually see it this way, but to be an author is a type of artist. Like you are putting your art out there, so it's very vulnerable. And then sometimes people don't realize that they're critiquing your art and not just
Mm-hmm.
critiquing, random thing that they bought, from the store. So it's different
Yeah.
when you hear the reviews and stuff of it's part of your soul. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's tricky to really get that confidence up there. So sometimes even like on Goodreads, sometimes I will only read my 5-star reviews just to like boot my confidence up a little bit, and I'll just ignore the other ones and just pretend they're not there.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that. Do you avoid or do you read them? So that was
So yeah, my first 3 books, which was a totally different genre than what I read now, I did read them often to help myself grow and become better at writing, to take their feedback and implement it and change things up. Now I actually don't because it's just hard to do that, and I already get critique from other places anyway. So I want to improve my writing, obviously, and my craft, but I don't quite do it through reviews anymore. The only time I will read them is in order to highlight some of the 5-star comments that other people write, and what the readers do for my ARC readers is they'll actually like kind of name some of the tropes for me. So sometimes if I'm like, what exactly trope do I have here, the readers will point it out and they'll have a good list of tropes that I can help market.
nice. Yeah, that's a good idea. I always put the tropes that I see in there just to help, because I know a lot of people, a lot of readers search for their favorite tropes, and that's how they start their like process of adding to their TBR. So I always like to include that so that they have that
Yeah, and
available.
it gets really obvious if like 10 readers will say the same thing. You're like, all right, I got something here.
Yeah. Yeah. So does writing energize you or make you tired?
It definitely energizes me. I'm actually writing a short story today that I didn't plan on writing for a few months for an anthology. And I'm just like, I've got all this, energy and this power now. So I was helping my daughter clean the house, took my dog on a walk, and like did all these things because it's an outlet. So it helps express myself and it just brings more life to my day. Sometimes even when I get into a slump of reading and I'm, reading 10 books in a month and it's different genres I like, but I feel like I I'm not liking any of the books, it's usually because I haven't written enough that week. And so I'll actually just go and write something and it'll bring my spirits back up. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. So, you're a vivacious reader? Read a lot?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't like the comparing, but I probably have read 90 books this year. And it's my first year of audiobooks. I've never done audiobooks before. So that's definitely changing my drives for work. And I'm stopping at stoplights and I'm like, who can hear my book right now?
Yes.
Turn the
Turn
volume
it
down.
down. So, what do you think of them now that you've crossed over to that world?
Yeah, so audiobooks are good. I can only read first person narrative for physical copies, but for some reason for audiobooks, when someone's telling me the story, I can read third person narrative. So it's giving me more options of things that I'm not really able to read in paperback and hardcover. I am not an ebook girl, so I've got, 80 books probably in this room on my shelves behind me. So I've got to have a copy in my hands, but then audiobook, I can listen. I can receive that information, but it's got to be thriller or rom-com for audio. When I try to read fantasy or sci-fi in an audio, it's just too much world building, and then I get distracted and I miss stuff and I have to restart. So I'm realizing it's changed the types of books I'm able to read for audio.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. I'm usually a first person reader. I really struggle with third person, like, a lot. And so I read them. I don't avoid them if I heard that they're a really good book, but I should try that because I actually haven't listened to an audiobook version of a third person. Maybe that's
Yeah,
the key.
I sometimes I'll still pass it up because I have a really high DNF rate. Really high. People have commented on that quite often. But yeah, I will give third person narrative more opportunity. Like right now, let me see if I can find it. Accidentally Amy. It's a rom-com. I'm reading that one right now for an audiobook. And that's third person and it's fine. So sometimes it's like it's smooth. If it's smooth and I can feel like I'm part of the story for the audiobook, I'm fine. If I feel super removed and like out in a bubble and like I'm being told everything, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna see how that works for me. So have you ever had writer's block?
Oh, another complicated question. I don't really believe in writer's block yet, so maybe I will in like 10 years. And people define it differently. There's been some times where I procrastinate writing a really important scene that's about to come up because I just like get scared and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna like do it justice. But it's not because I don't have the ideas or I don't know what to write. It's just because I'm afraid that I will be subpar for giving the scene what it needs to be given. But no, I don't really believe in it yet. So I'm gonna say no. I don't think I've had that yet.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I can see like it would be intimidating if you know like there's a certain scene and you want it to play out a certain way, and then like you have it in your mind and you're like, now I have to translate it. Like that would be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I actually had this happen last week. I was writing a first kiss scene with my current book that I'm writing, and I got up to like their lips meeting. I closed the computer and I ran away. I was just like, no, that's a different day. So I just like froze. I'm just like, no. But it's not because I don't know what's coming next, So I was like, no, yeah,
You're like, I just need time. I need
yeah.
space.
I need a little space. I need to like work myself up for this.
If you could go back in time, hop in a time machine, and go see your younger writing self, what would be advice that you would tell yourself, knowing what you know now?
Okay, so that wouldn't be very long ago because I started writing in 2020. I was 33 at the time. I'm 37 now, so I don't consider me now or me when I started writing to be very young. Some of these writers start writing when they're 14, But I could have told my 16-year-old self way back when in a time machine what my passion would be later. You know how sometimes people go through like midlife crisis, or they change career paths in like their mid-30s. It kind of is what I went through, and COVID was the instigator of like immediately I was like, this is my passion, this is what I want. So if I would have known that, I probably would have picked a different major in college and not gotten my master's in what I currently do for my career, and pick something like creative writing or even just any type of artistic expression. I'm really bad at physical art, like drawing and painting. I'm so bad at that. But I was always into photography. So if I could have picked something that was more artistic based, I definitely would have done that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Jumping back a lot. I've heard a lot of indie authors started because COVID was like their push
I feel
to
like in
doing that.
50 years, it's going to be like our new like Renaissance era that we all look back and we're like, oh, like not only did everything social change, but we have this boom of art in different, domains, different ways.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen it yet because we're too close to it. We got to be more removed, I think.
I think that's a wonderful comparison. I totally think that's going to be how it is. That's a good comparison to that because, we were all forced to change and try new things.
Yeah.
So, did you write at all in your like younger time or not so much?
Um, so AP Lit was always my favorite class in high school. And like when I took honors classes in college, I always like the mythology classes and I loved reading. I just wasn't the avid reader that I
Mm-hmm.
saw others to be because I was an athlete. So I chose all my time to be doing athlete stuff. Um, so yes, I wrote. I always liked writing essays, but it was always educational. It was always research based. There was always so many structures and rules to it that I didn't see the options of creative writing when I was younger, and I didn't really latch onto that. Um, I know that when I was like really little, like teeny tiny, like in elementary school, I used to like try to do poems and stuff, and I'd write in my journal all the time. So yes, there's always part of me. I just don't think I really recognized it or
Mm-hmm.
knew how much it meant to me or how much of a part of me it was because I was steered in a different direction, of
Mm-hmm.
athletics. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. So you have lots of fantasy books, and so I like to ask my authors that write fantasy if you could be any creature, mythological creature, character, whatever, what who would it be or what would it be and why?
So my son will kill me for saying this because he would have so many better ideas than what I'm about to say. But I am the traditional cat lady. I have 5 cats at home. Two of them are going through heat at the first time right now. Like they're both in heat. I'm just like, oh my god, this is brand new information. But I would be some sort of like mythical cat that can communicate, like
Mm-hmm.
and read, but I still don't talk. But I can like, I don't know, like I'm not someone's familiar, but I can communicate in some way. Like I can think
Mm-hmm.
better than the average cat. I would just be a cat and lay in the sun all day long.
Yeah, that would be my life because
Yeah.
then you meow and people bring you food and they pet you and you don't have to do anything and it's just
Yep.
a
Just laying
very
the
simple
sun.
life.
That
Yes,
sounds great.
exactly. So, what is the most difficult thing for you about writing?
Um, Probably writing the opposite sex is hard because I am not in a guy's brain. So, like right now, I'm actually the one I'm drafting is Jacob, and I started writing him, and he is a surfer in this rom com that I'm doing. And he started out in chapter 2, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not just a surfer, Cassie. I am an Australian surfer." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks for telling me that." And so now I'm talking with a woman writer I met or met online that is from
Mhm.
Australia who's going to help me with the slang and the vocabulary because not only am I not in a guy's brain to like know what goes through their thoughts all the time, definitely could not relate, but now I have to figure out Australian vocabulary and terms and their culture to make sure that I do it somewhat justice. So
Yeah.
yeah, all my characters were on the opposite sex. All my books have been 2 points of view. I love writing 2 points of view, but sometimes I feel like they're too poetic that my
Mhm.
guys aren't real enough. But then if I make them super authentic, the readers will be like, "Oh, they're not sweet and romantic enough." I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to make them realistic. They're not always fiction, but they are fiction."
Yeah.
So gotta
Yeah.
balance it
Oh,
out a little bit.
that's great. So when you're getting your characters, are they just like popping in your head or are they coming from like someone you met or like someone from your
They
past?
all pop in my head. Often it's through dreams. I'll wake up the next morning and I'll have a dream of their vibe. I'm like a very like energy vibe based person. So especially the first couple I did, they had a whole trilogy about them. They were definitely from a dream. And then sometimes they'll just show me little bits of their personality and character as I'm writing.
Mhm.
I get little quirks. A new thing I've started to do is filling out that character questionnaire survey that you can find online. There's tons of them, and it has like 100 questions about your character. And I'll go through and I'll pick stuff out, and then I'll give myself a few days break. I'll go back and be like, that does not seem natural. Like I feel like I forced that
Mhm.
answer. And sometimes there's a few things where I can't fill it out. I'm like, I don't know. Like they haven't told me enough yet. So I have to wait it out a little bit and figure out what the answer is, like what their biggest fear is. That's a big one you need to know, or things
Yeah.
like that. I just kind of need to wait it out. So it depends.
Yeah. I heard about that. Another author I talked to about, she says it's like a character interview, kind of like this, but your character.
Um, well, what we're doing right now, that kind of character interview is usually done after the character is written. And like the podcaster or whatever your title is in this scenario would ask like Piper Pan in my other book like questions, and I as an author would pretend I'm Piper Pan and answer for her. That's
Mm-hmm.
different. The questionnaire interview that I was talking about was more about like before I've even written the character or figured anything out, I'd go and see like what's your favorite color? What do you do on a Saturday morning, and write all that down to get a vibe for who they are as a person.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the hardest type of scene for you to write?
Emotional scenes to make someone cry. I can't cry. I've had multiple Facebook posts recently where I've asked random readers to be like, please give me a movie that will make me cry. And they give me ideas, and I can't do it. I don't cry. So sometimes I don't slow my pace enough down in my books to give my characters and readers the time to break down and cry. I'm always surprised when a reader contacts me and they're like, oh, I was sobbing. I'm like, oh, good. I'm like, I'm going to like pat myself on my back a little bit there. So I'm like, I don't know how I did that, but that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be hard, I think, because you have to kind of, I feel like, pull from your own experiences and like translate that into the story with your emotions, right? Is that usually like kind of how you're processing that?
Yeah, I think I have a balance. Creative writing and reading is very much an escapism for me. So part of it would be that because we're humans, so we have to pull from our own experience. But part of that is I really am in this fairy tale world, and I'm writing things that I don't have, experience with, um, and hoping I kind of hit the mark with it being somewhat realistic. But I'm writing fantasy, so sometimes it's okay if you don't quite hit the mark.
Do you do a lot of research? The topic of your book, like with the fairy tale, like the Beauty and the Beast, did you do a lot of research, or the Never Hour, to pull from, or did you just kind of let it flow just from your own knowledge?
Yeah, it depends again. So, like my first trilogy, I had a guy who was in the army, and I had an army friend at that time, and I asked him, days worth of questions. So, like when he jumped out of the parachute, it felt, realistic because the guy I knew would jump out of, airplanes,
Mm-hmm.
do the parachuting and stuff. And then a bunch of the fantasy stuff, again, I can make up, which is great. For all the retellings I just did, I probably read 10 different retellings of each one before I started drafting. I don't know if I'd consider it research because it's more of getting the vibe again. Like I'm a vibe person. So like I have a whole stack up here of, Beauty and the Beast ones, and I have a whole stack over here of Little Mermaid and Peter Pan ones. And I would get in the zone by reading
Mm-hmm.
all their retellings. And I did read all the originals as well. So I didn't base them off of, the Disney version like a lot of authors sometimes do. Sometimes there's still like a few little pokes in there, like little references for the Disney, which is just to make it cute. But this is based off of the original. But since I gender swap, it goes down a path that a lot of people aren't expecting.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. I liked that it was the flip. I think that was a very cool take.
Yeah, because not only are we experiencing a lot of cultural differences from when we grew up with, gender identification, but just to have that freedom of it, Peter Pan not being a boy, the Beast not being a boy, Ariel not being the girl. So, Axton is the merman who lives under the sea in the first one, in the Wicked Blue.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who has to go out on land. So I just thought that was really fun.
Yeah, and I also liked that you had, like in this last book, they had a mom and a dad and dad. I liked that because it's getting more
Yeah.
of of what it's like now. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm not at the point where I can make my primary character completely LGBTQ plus, representative. I want to make sure I got all the letters there, because I myself am, straight. So I like Piper is bisexual, and that's fine. I can do that, but I can't do a male male romance. I don't feel comfortable with that. I can't do a female female romance. I know a lot of authors who do, and I know we're supposed to write what we know, but at the same time, we can't all write what we know all the time, because that would mean I can't have an Australian surfer as a character. That
yeah.
would mean I can't ever have someone scuba dive, because I've never been scuba diving. So I mean, there's limitations to that rule. So I just don't feel comfortable yet writing a female female love plot, because that is not an experience I have gone through.
Yeah. But maybe one day you can, or as you write more couples, maybe that'll come. And if not, I think as long as it's included and it's not shunned.
Yeah.
That's what I love when, if it's a side character or a side book, like, cause I'm straight too. So it's like, that's my realm of knowledge, but I have my mother-in-laws are women and my brother has a fabulous husband. So I'm like, I'm already living that. And so I have knowledge of it. So I love when it's inclusive like that, because families are so dynamic now.
Yeah.
And I love when that's in a book. So I liked that part a lot. So what's your favorite scene to
So fast-paced dialogue, just boom, 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 or fast-paced action or fast-paced banter. It goes quick. My least favorite is the details. Like, my sister is usually my alpha reader, and she does a great job. So shout out to her. Thank you for helping me so much, for free, by the way. But she always says, like, I need to know the color of their coat, or I need to know the shape of this room. I'm like, no, like, that is not what I do. Like, I can do fast-paced action dialogue. That's my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you enjoy doing the world building or the character development more?
Probably character development. But I'm better at plot than both of those. So I'd have to say
Okay.
plot first is my primary strength right now. I'm trying to get better at character development, but I need to still get my characters to go deeper than I have in my past books. And then world building, I like to sprinkle it in. So again, I'm improving on that, but I like the reader to fill in their own blanks, and I like to create a world where I don't have to force feed, I don't have to spoon feed you the world. You can kind of get the gist, and then I don't have heavy politics and in that type of thing in most of mine, so they can fill in the blanks.
Yeah. And then are you a plotter or a pantser?
Right. The ultimate question. I used to be a plotter just because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And over time, the further I go, the more pantser I am, but I still have like a template that I go off of. Like, there's two main books that I use, like, Save the Cat. There's like a beat sheet. And then there's another one that's like a romance one. There's a beat sheet where it says what happens at the 20% mark, what happens at the 50% mark, the all is lost moment, the climatic moment, the it's trap moment. Like, there's like certain times that certain things are supposed to happen. So I still have the template, like an equation, but I don't really outline anymore.
So what inspired your writing journey besides COVID? Was there like a moment that you were just sitting there and you were like, I want to write a story?
Yeah, it was definitely a dream. So I had, like, the day before, I had no concept of writing, no plans to write. Woke up that morning, I was like, I want to see if I can write a book. It's completely random. And I haven't stopped since. So I think that was like April 21st, like 2020. It's like, I remember the day, 2020. I woke up and I was like, oh, I had these two characters. I'm just going to write. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. That's a good start story for sure. So did you have a favorite character that you wrote out of all of your characters that you're definitely like, no, this is my go-to character?
So is it what primary character is my favorite, or which secondary character is my favorite?
Either or, whichever like your favorite is.
Okay.
Or both. If we need to do both, we could do both.
So I love J-Docs in the Linked trilogy, and that one has a love triangle, so you might not know who Kyra ends up with, but I just have this like place in my heart for J-Docs. Love him. A lot of people don't like him, but I love him. And then I do like Brody in The Phantom Ink, which you just read. For secondary characters, I love Jem. She is an old grandma who only speaks in riddles. She's just fun. Like she just brings like this comedy randomness to the story, and that's in the Link trilogy as well. I like her.
But yeah, because I have a few arcs that I need to finish, but I saw that and I was like, this looks good, so I'm gonna read that next. But that's cool. I love when there's like a unique character, like you said, that speaks in like this weird way of speaking. I love those kind of characters. I think they're so great and they bring so much more depth to a story. So I'm excited to read that. Which of your characters is most like you and why?
Man, you do ask good questions. So
Thank you.
that's hard again because I feel like every female character, every female main character that I've written has come somewhat from me. I think I tend to write themes and character arcs based off of struggles I have overcome or are currently battling with myself. So, the things of feeling isolated, maybe, that would make sense when I started writing because of, the pandemic, or losing friends even because of the pandemic, things like that. Showing who you truly are, wanting to feel free, which that's like a midlife crisis thing, like going on a different path. So I would probably say Raylan, Kyra, Arabelle, Mora, Piper. Out of all of those, I'm probably least like Raylan and Arabelle at this point. Raylan because she was so young and she just had a lot of growing to do, and I'm just much older. And Arabelle because she's so artsy. I almost feel like she's more like a Phoebe in Friends. Like she's just really artsy. And then I'd probably be more like Kyra and Piper. They're a little bit rough around the edges.
That's great. What are your process when you're, or what is your process when you're writing, like towards the end and like in the Phantom Ink, you did a big twist. Do those come to you, or do you have them planned out, or do they just happen organically as you're writing?
And I would say they kind of just happen as I'm writing. When I say I don't outline anymore, I started something new about 3-ish books ago where I don't go back and reread what I've written at all until like I've got the draft down, and that has helped me with productivity and imposter syndrome so much. So like yesterday I wrote chapter 20 of a book, and then what I will do at the very end is I will make like who, what, where, when, and why notes for the next chapter. So I'll do like who is in the next scene, where are they going, what time is it, and just like the main, like this is the main objective, like one sentence. And that helps me kind of outline what's coming next. But yeah, some of those twists just get thrown in there, and like as I'm writing I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. But then sometimes I do plan it ahead a little bit. I know it's going to a direction, but it might still switch. That's a complicated answer. I'm not sure if I answered
No,
that.
that's great. No, that's great. And that's, I've not heard that way of planning ahead where you take what you just wrote and you kind of do a bullet point and then you go forward. A lot of the people that I've talked to, they say they go back and read the last chapter, they go back and read the last 3 chapters or however, but they always are going back before they go forward. That's an interesting way to do it for sure, because then you're not stopping and spending 30 45 minutes reading. You're moving forward because you've given yourself a little like nudge and reminder, but you're not having to stop. So
yeah, it depends on everyone's style, and how they edit and what time they have to edit and how many people are helping them edit.
Yeah. So let's see here. How do you find the time to write? Do you have like a daily word count or a daily time that you set aside to write?
Okay, so I have 2 kids, 6 pets, part-time job. You gotta do carpool every day. So I don't really have time to write, but my husband is super helpful and does basically everything around the house. Like he's the cleaner and he's the cook. So because of that, I don't have as many household responsibilities right now compared to pre-COVID. He does a lot of that. So that gives me a lot of time. And then I make time. So I kind of have a goal where if I don't write 3,000 words in a day for a chapter, if I know I'm not going to have time, I don't start. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing. I'm either going to finish the chapter, and most chapters are around 3,000 words, or I just have that day be based off of something else in my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good system. That's a word count. Is it daunting to get to said word count, or does it kind of just flow out of you?
I usually get to 2,000 really easily. And then at the 2,000 mark, it's almost like, well, do I need to add a lot of adjectives to make the sentences longer? No, I'm not going to do that because I'm not huge on adjectives anyway. But yeah, when I get to the 2,000 mark, sometimes like, all right, how can I make this deeper, or not necessarily slow it down, but make it have more oomph to it? Because I go through things really fast. I will go boom, 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 boom. So I'm not trying to slow it down, but I'm trying to give it a little bit more meat to each scene so it's not passing by too rapidly, too drastically. That's how I kind of fill in the last 1,000 words each chapter.
Ah, yeah, that's like a little umph to give it a full rounded, well-rounded chapter, probably taking that last little bit of time.
I think I could be one of those authors who writes the whole book is just dialogue, because like that is my thing. Like I could do a whole chapter dialogue, but like that's just hard. I don't know if you've ever heard of, what's her name? Kara something, maybe? I'd have to look it up. I don't know. But anyway, she does audiobooks, and her entire audiobook is just dialogue. Like you don't know where they are because there's no exposition or narrative. It's just based off of what they're saying. It's always on like phone calls, or they're talking in person back and forth. And there's no chapters. It's almost like a script. They're just going back and forth the whole book. And I love it because it's just smooth and it flows, and you're just hearing their conversation the whole time.
I'll have to look her up. That sounds interesting.
Can I look it up now? I don't know. I want to like.
Oh, you're fine.
See if I can find it. Kara Bastone, maybe? Oh, what is it? I can find it. I can find it. I don't know. It's not on here.
No worries. Maybe if you find it later, you could definitely.
I think her last name is Bastone. Bastone. Yeah.
I'll look that up. That sounds interesting. I haven't encountered a book like that. That sounds interesting without having all the background noise of like where you are and what's going on.
But like they'll have beeps. Like if you're out in traffic, you'll hear like the horn in the audio. So you'll hear the background noise.
So it's almost like one of those old, you know how back in the day they had like a room there they recorded stuff and they turned the handle and they like knocked on the door. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like you can, so she doesn't have to write it down because it's there.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna look that up. So how long does it take you to finish a book once you start writing?
Okay, so does finish mean writing the end, or does finish mean like start to production?
To the end.
Okay, so usually 1 to 2 months I can draft a book, and then from starting the first sentence to it being published is usually 6 to 9 months because of editing and all the different steps it goes through with the formatter, the ARC readers, the designer, the cover designer, all that.
Do you enjoy making like speaking with the cover designer, that process, or is that kind of daunting?
I love all you artists out there, and I need more recommendations, and my cover designers have been great, but I've had a little struggle with some of the professionals I worked with just because I need communication to be a little different. So I'm looking to hire a new cover designer for I think I've had like 6 cover designers for my next series. Raven Designs is amazing. She is so good, and she did the binding of my hardcovers. So like there's art on the binding. You know how they have that sometimes?
Oh yeah, like the detailed edges, like the sprayed edges.
No, not the sprayed edges. I don't know if I can find one.
Or on the back of the book. Are you talking about the spine?
Like so you take off the jacket.
Yeah.
Take off the jacket, and the actual front and spine and back will have art.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, it's like it's really like high quality, but she does those, and it's so pretty. And she does such a good job because she knew exactly what I wanted right away. So we barely needed any back and forth to make changes. So I would check out Raven Designs a lot.
That's awesome. That's really great. I love artwork like that because it reminds me of books from like a long time ago where they made them like works of art because back then, they were traveling from city to city. They didn't have all of our technology, but it was like telling the story, so to speak, before you even open the book. I love where they have those types of designs.
I have one, so don't move. Be
Okay.
right
Okay.
back. Okay. So Angela Ford actually has the signed bookshop on her website, and like they do hardcovers. But look, you open it up, and that's the design on the hardcover.
That is so pretty.
So like all the hardcovers at the shop have this on it. So that's what my the Raven design pages, what she did. It's
Oh,
really,
that's beautiful. I love that. I love the gold foil and all of
yeah.
that detailing. That's my favorite for my bookshelf. I like to have book trophies of all my favorite books and have them. I don't necessarily read them because I usually get audio or I do like Kindle. I listen a lot to stories. Like there's an app called Speechify because I'm dyslexic, and then I also am a mom and I homeschool, so I can't always be like sitting there reading a physical book. Like I used to only be a physical book person, but now I can listen to it while I'm doing the dishes and have that flexibility because I'm always going and going. So, but I love to have books like that just to look at, just because they're pretty. So,
Yeah, check out the signed bookshop. She's got tons of great fantasy romance authors.
oh, that's awesome. I definitely will check that out. So in your opinion, as an author, what do you think makes a great story?
You need a goal and you need high stakes. At least some stakes. Maybe okay. If the stakes are low, fine. But you need a goal and you need to have a reason of why the goal matters, and not just in the book, but in every single chapter. If you start a chapter and you're just randomly wandering and there's no purpose to what they're doing or what they're saying, I lose interest. I don't want a chapter describing what the forest looks like. A few sentences is fine, but I need a goal of why they're in the forest. Why is the forest important?
Yeah. So, do you get your characters' personalities from any of your people around you, or are they pretty much totally, like you said, they just come to you, or do you kind of do a mix of both?
I think most of my primary lead females have all been part of me.
Mm-hmm.
The guys, the inspirations are usually like, okay, so like Brody from the Phantom Ink, let me know if you feel his vibe at all. But he was supposed to be kind of like Flynn Rider from Tangled. He was supposed to be a little bit like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
So he had that element. I was like, that was what inspired me. But no, I don't think I use people in my life much for characters. They just kind of come to me. They tell me who they are, and we go from there.
Yeah, you go from there. You're like, nice to meet you. Let's write your story.
Yeah.
What is something that has the most surprising thing that you have learned on your journey as a writer?
Yeah, so I actually also asked this question to authors because I have my own little written author interview that I do on my blog, and the answer is almost unanimously what I'm about to say. As an indie author, we have to put on so many hats to be even remotely successful. It is insane. Or you have to have thousands and thousands of dollars to hire people to do all of it for you. But I have learned so much about things I never thought I'd have to learn, like the apps and the newsletters and the networking and the social media and creating images and marketing and making bookmarks and creating a website, and just the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many logins for so many different websites like Book Funnel, and just there's a lot that I am involved in. So even if I would hire a personal assistant to do a lot of this for me, you still kind of have to walk them through the steps because it's very complicated and there's just a lot of roles to do.
Yeah, I feel like that would be really daunting to be in charge of all of that.
It takes a lot of
For
time.
sure.
Like I would be able to write more and faster and better because I'd be improving if I didn't have to do all that other stuff. It's a lot of sub roles. Once you kind of get the flow of it, it's a lot easier over time compared to the beginning when you're just starting up. But there's a big learning curve, and then you never stop learning. Never stop learning.
Yeah.
Like all the other authors out there, in Discord, that we have big groups and we talk together and support each other. Like you're always learning new things.
Yeah, I love the community. I definitely I love how supportive everybody is for the most part as a whole. Like there's not necessarily like a competition. Like I think you're running, I just got your newsletter and you're running like a giveaway and it's all the Peter Pan retellings and they're all these different authors and you're all working together. Like I think that's great that there's not this like competition.
Yeah.
Because every story is different.
Yeah. Like there'll be some dark Peter Pans and then there'll be some sweet, closed door Peter Pans, and then there'll be gender swap Peter Pans, or not rom-com, but like contemporary romance Peter Pans, and then there'll be historical, all of the options. But what helps with not being as competitive is the fact that you want to find readers that read in your genre, because you're more likely to sell to a reader who reads other books in that genre. So the more you do with authors that are in that genre and in your trope, it's actually going to benefit you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that about the community, the support and the camaraderie for sure.
Yeah.
I
And
think that
they're
it's
super
very
helpful
refreshing.
for critique partnering too. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times that other authors have helped me with my blurbs, because I suck at writing blurbs, is great. Because I'm like, yes, keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So for you, what message do you want readers to get from your books? Like what is your overall goal for them when they pick up your books?
Ooh, that is such a hard question. What message I want them to get from my books? I mean, I don't have this theme in every single one, but if I had to have like an author brand message, I would probably say feel free to express who you are. That would probably be my number one thing of what I would want to say, because what I'm doing, I could just do as a hobby and not share it with anyone, which lots of people do, and that's fine. You don't have to go publish everything, but express who you are and express how you want to express it in the way that you're comfortable with, whether it's showing everyone, showing no one, showing just your mom, painting, drawing, poetry. Just keep putting something out into the world. Even if you burn it later, that's fine. Just keep creating. Just create. I think Taylor Swift said this, because my daughter is a Swiftie. She said something like that. Never stop creating. Just keep expressing yourself. I think that'd be similar to T Swift.
Yeah, that's a great slogan, I think. I think that so often, especially when you're just new out of school, like you're told, you have to have a career, you have to have, this 9 to 5, you have to be successful in this way. And it's sad because a lot of the time those activities, like, well, sports is kind of kept in that same realm, but like art and music are pushed to the side as like fluff almost. But in reality, like it's such a huge encompassing dynamic of our culture, people's ways to express themselves, that it's not like nurtured enough. I feel like it needs to be more at the forefront for sure.
I think it's like the basis of humanity, and we're all going down the wrong path, so
yeah,
to that.
Yeah, I think when they cut that from schools, it started that trend of like going downhill, where they took a lot of that funding away. Because for me, I'm totally artistic like that. I went to school for fashion design. I paint. I have an Etsy business. Like I'm totally that side of the brain. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't have survived if I didn't have those outlets, because that's just so me. So I love to support other authors, like authors and artists, because like you said, yours is a craft just like a painter. So I love to support other artists in their crafts and boost them up and give them, like like a platform to say, hey, check out this author who you may have not heard of, because there might be something that you get out of their books, or, a little break from reality or an enjoyment, and you could learn something new about yourself. So I love to do that. That's like my passion for sure.
Yeah. And you got to tell me your Etsy shop, because I'm obsessed with Etsy.
I definitely will. I'll tell you all about it afterward, because I might be able to like do something with you based on my shop. I make I make 3D box cards based off of books.
That's right. You did tell me. I remember.
I did. Oh, you feature. Yes, I was one of your interviews. I remember. You put my card up there. Yes. Yeah. I make them based off of books.
Those were awesome. By the way, I'm not like interrupting that, but Speaking of local, I'm in North Carolina, and like Western North Carolina is falling apart from the hurricane. So if anyone wants to help donate, I'm like putting a plug in there. I'm
Yeah.
part of an anthology right now that's going to come out soon. So I don't know the website offhand, but it's like North Carolina Writers for Western. Oh, I don't know what it's called.
If
I'll
you
send
tell
you.
me later, I can put it in the link. I can put a link in the description
Okay,
of
yeah,
the
'cause we're
interview.
accepting a lot of donations, like out for Asheville, out in the mountains and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. What is your favorite part about being a writer?
Just the stories. I'm an idea person, so once I type the end and send it off to an editor, I wish I wouldn't have to touch it again, and I wish it would just like magically poof into something that's readable. So editing sucks, but the ideas. So when I start a new project, like when I haven't written the first word yet, and I'm thinking of the process of like, what does this look like? Like, what is their energy? Just the foundation, that is my favorite part. Almost before I
Yeah.
even start the first line, because I like ideas. Like I could give Hollywood all these ideas and they could run with it, which is easier, than writing. Writing is harder.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a daunting task. Like I know, like when you get the idea and then you get it on the paper, sometimes I'm like, how did they do this? Like I'm reading this and I'm like, this would be very intimidating to put all of this down. So it's definitely an art form for sure. So what was your first book that you read in romance genre or fantasy romance genre that like really stuck with you?
Oh God. Okay, so I have over 500 reviews of books I have read in the last 4 years on my blog. Um, and a bunch of them aren't like great reviews where it is all organized with like the characters were like this, the plot was like this. It's just like my random comments while I was reading. I like texted myself random comments. So all 500 plus have ratings on there, and a lot of them are fantasy romance. But one that really sticks out is Serpent and Dove. I really like Serpent and Dove. The whole trilogy as a whole wasn't like my very favorite, but I fell in love with that book, and I really want to reread it soon. Other than that, I think my dog's in the background. Sorry. Other than that, I would say Rachel Griffin. I love all three of her books that I have. I think all of them are 5 star. And I don't know if I've ever had another author where I've given every single thing I've read of theirs a 5 star. So I would highly recommend her.
Oh, I have to look her up, but I know what you mean. Serpent Dove. I loved that one. I loved that one, but I struggled with the last two after that. Like I felt like I was like, maybe I should just stick with the first one and not venture. I mean, they're great stories, but I was like, that one got me. Like that one was like,
And everyone's different, because one of my best friends right now, like she actually couldn't finish Serpent and Dove, which is fine. We're all different, and that's fine. But yeah, I love that one. Big fan.
yeah, wonderful. So how did publishing your first book change your process on your later books with being
Oh,
self-published?
that's like such a technical question. I've definitely made changes over the last 4.5 years. I like rapid release a lot because I am not patient. I'm not a patient person. I do not want to wait because I like to binge read a series. So if I have book one in front of me, I want to read it because of the hype, to be part of the
Mm-hmm.
hype, but I don't want to read it because I want to read 1, 2, 3 in a row, like right back to back. There's actually probably 12 series I have upstairs in my other bookshelf right now where I'm waiting to start it until the third one comes out, and it's driving me insane because everyone else keeps talking about it and I have to avoid the spoilers. So I would say that one of the biggest things I have changed is when I have my books come out, I'm trying to have them be like next year's August 1st, 2025, September 1st, 2025, and October 1st, 2025. They're not even in a trilogy. They're actually standalones, but just the fact that they're boom, boom, boom in the same
Mm-hmm.
world, I like that a lot. So that's probably one of my biggest shifts. I just have to do a lot of planning beforehand to make the timing work out for that.
Yeah. And I totally know what you mean. I have a couple books right now that the second book is out, and I haven't started it yet because the first one left me on such a gut wrenching cliffhanger that I'm still dangling there trying to like recuperate. That I'm like, I don't even want to read the next one because I know they're going to do it to me again. I just want to wait until they're all out and then I can read them in a row. So I know what you mean by that for sure.
Yeah, but plus I forget them. I read too many books that I would have to reread the first one. Like, so I mean everyone's going to be reading what's it called, Onyx Storm soon. But I
Yes.
feel like I have to go back and read the first two because I don't remember all the details and I'm going to miss out on important stuff if I don't go reread the first two. But I don't have time to reread the first two because I have 200 books, like physical copy books on my TBR upstairs. And like if I keep rereading stuff, I won't get through anything.
Yes. Isn't it so sad to think about that you'll never get through your TBR? Like you'll never get through it in the
Oh,
entirety. It's like, oh,
I've almost like banned myself from Instagram so that I don't see new releases. So I'm petting my dog over here.
oh no, you're fine.
So I don't see new releases because if I see, and I'm bad with covers. I judge a book by its cover. So if I see a gorgeous cover, I'm like, give it to me. But then I'm like, nope, I can't like you because I have too many I have to go finish.
Yes. It's a very daunting task for sure, but it's a good daunting task, but it just like makes me sad because I'm like, I'm not going to read all of these. Like, this is so sad. I need to get through them. And like, I think I need to do that too, where I'm like, nope, I'm going to wait. I'm going to finish what I have and then go from there. So,
Yeah, a big
um,
problem is also the library. I need to just shut down my library card because right now I have 20 overdue library books at home right now. And like I get out too many and then I won't read what I own. It's really bad.
that's so funny. So my son's autistic and he has therapy that comes to the house, and he had a new therapist start like 2 weeks ago, and he comes in and he goes, "Wow, this is the lost library of Alexandria." And I started laughing. I was dying so much. I was like, "Thank you. I don't have a problem, I promise. I have all of these books. It's totally okay." So, I definitely agree with you. Like the library, I love the library. It's a dangerous place. I walk out of there between me and my kids with like 30 books every time we go in there. It's not, it's great, but it's not great at the same time because it's hard to get through them all.
I
And then
know.
you like run the risk of keeping them too long, and then you have late fees, which I have also done so many times.
My library doesn't have late fees, so I'm just being really bad.
Oh yeah, no, we get like 50 cents a day or something like that, and so it can add up for a lot. I live in California, so
Yeah.
we have that for sure. So what was your favorite book as a child?
Oh God. So my mom doesn't throw anything away, and like up in her attic, she probably has every book we've ever read as a child. Okay. As like a kid, okay, do you know the Full House series with like Stephanie Tanner? I
Yeah.
was
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with those. I had so many of those. Other than that, I have to say just the basic Narnia. I love Narnia. The series was long though. That's a long series to get through. And then what was that one with the girl on the polar bear? What is that called?
Oh,
Um, you know what I'm saying?
isn't it the bear? Isn't it just called the bear?
No. Oh, I don't know if I can swear on this.
Oh, you're
It's
fine.
it's like a time element. I'm just looking at Girl on Polar Bear. I think it's a trilogy. The Golden Compass.
Oh,
I
okay.
I really liked The Golden Compass. That one was a good one. And then in high school, I really liked Wuthering Heights, but I haven't reread it, so I feel like now I might hate it, but I have I have to reread it to see. So I like,
Yeah. Well, since you're a cat lady, I'm going to recommend a book to you
okay.
because I am also a cat lady.
Hmm.
And I read this book in high school, so you can find it on like thrift books. Like it's not so much in circulation anymore, but I bought a copy of it on there because I remember it, and I was like, I'm going to read that again. So it's called The Autobiography of Foodini M. Cat,
Okay.
and it is basically first person from the cat and his
Okay.
life,
I'm writing this
and it
down.
is so good. It is so good.
Autobiography
So
of what was the middle part?
Foodini, like
Okay.
Houdini, but with an F, Foodini M. Cat. And it's basically his life story. It is so cute, and it's just, oh, I loved it. It was such a good book, and it reminded me of my cats. Like when I would read it, I was like, oh, that's this cat, and oh, that's that cat, and it's just so cute. And it's a quick read. Like it's not a long book at all. Like I think it's like maybe 300 pages, if that. Like it's a fast read for sure.
300
But
pages
it
is a
was,
lot for cat thinking.
well, yes, but it was very well done. Like it was like your books, being in first person, living their life, but from the eyes of the cat, from the time he's born until the time he's like towards the end of his life as a senior cat. And
Is it like that
it's so
dog
cute.
movie? Not Marley and Me, the other one. The race. The race. Oh God, I can't think of anything. You know what the dog movie I'm talking about, where it's from the point of view of the dog, like, and he like loves his owner so much. The Great Race? No, sorry,
Oh, it's not the one with the three ones that like Homeward Bound. It's not that one, right?
no. Okay,
No.
do you ever see the movie or the show This Is Us? The guy that
Yeah.
plays the dad, he was the
Oh,
character in the movie of this
I
book.
can't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I might have it down here. No, I don't have it down there. I don't know what it's called. It's something with a race.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry,
The
I'm off on
greatest race. Greatest. Okay, I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, I'll put it in the information below too. Because yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Because I'm like, it's just such a cute and unique way of reading about something, and it's a little bit of a twist. And it was like, it's still to this day one of my favorite reads. Like, I love it. So I definitely recommend it. What is some of the things that you do to plan for your future books? Do you just have like a dump that you do, or do you just have like the ideas in your head?
So this is a good question. Good question. I often don't allow myself to think of too much. I kind of like almost block a part of my brain subconsciously so I don't think of too many ideas, because I would overwhelm myself because I'd have so many that I'd feel rushed to get everything else done to get the next ones. So there's probably a part of my brain that is like firing a bunch that I'm not allowing access to. But my next idea is called A Crimson Oath. And A Crimson Oath is either going to be a standalone or a trilogy. It's going to depend on how much passion I feel about it when I really get the plot ideas back in my brain. And it's supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be more of dark fantasy, or dark romantic fantasy, which is interesting because the series I'm currently writing is lightweight witchy rom-com. So I'm doing like a 180 on the other side. But it's supposed to be about demons, but the demons are really witches, and like witch hunters, but it's modern time. It's not, historic, because I like modern time style setting books. So that is my next concept that I'm thinking of. I just don't know how long it'll be. Standalones are much easier than
Yeah.
trilogies. So after that, I actually don't have anything. There's a document in my computer labeled next book ideas, and it doesn't have that much because I don't allow myself to go down that route yet.
Yeah, just to keep it organized. And do you worry that you're going to forget by not writing it down?
I don't let myself think of stuff. I swear,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like that's what my dreams are at night. I'm probably filing through all my ideas
Oh,
without me knowing I'm filing through all my ideas, and then I won't let myself have access. So like I
yeah.
don't even get into that mindset of let's start brainstorming big concepts, because if I get super excited about a big concept, I will skip A Crimson Oath and I will go do the other one. But I don't want to skip
Oh,
it. I want to get it out there. Because I already have some short stories written about A Crimson Oath.
yeah.
I wrote them like so long ago, thinking they'd be my next project, and then it never happened. So I gotta like get it done.
Yeah. And I'm excited about your next series, The Witches, the one I read the little detail in your
Yeah,
newsletter.
yeah.
I'm
So
excited to read it.
the series is of witches and men. I thought that would be cute, and they're all called fusers. Fusers
Mhm.
is witches, and they're both male and female, but it's only 10% of the world's population are fusers. And it's in your DNA. So you're just born with this. It's not a disorder. It's just you're born with it. And so it's rare, but there's a lot of just fun, whimsical settings. There's a lot of mythical creatures, but it's set in modern day. Excuse me. And it's set in North Carolina for all three of them, but it's made up cities. So it's a real place where you know that like our culture, our wardrobe, our language is all current.
Mhm.
Um, but the world building is still shifting because there are elves, there are gremlins, there are leprechauns, there are unicorns within the world. But like you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, but it's just called something different.
I'm
And
so excited.
yeah, so I'm working on the second one right now. The first one is with my beta readers, and then they'll all come out at the second half of 2025.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited. I like love the little description and getting a little bit more of a look from what you just said. I know that'll be a good series and I'll definitely be excited to read it. I love North Carolina books. I don't know why, like The Notebook, like all the, like that probably set off my love for North Carolina. I haven't been there yet, but just like the vibes and just the small town and then all of that is just charming. It's charming. So
Yeah,
I
the
love
first one is based off of Wilmington, which is out on the coast by the beach. We've been there like dozens of times now. The second one is me based off of Asheville, which is going to be tricky because the date will be 2025 in the book, and I don't know how the hurricane will change the way I portray it. I haven't started that one yet. The third one, I've actually already written it, and that one is set in Raleigh, North Carolina, but in a fake name.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm very excited. So what is something that is unique and quirky about you that maybe the people don't know?
I kickbox every day. So that's not common. I don't cry. That was one thing. So I swam. That was my athlete career. I swam Division I in college. Cassie is not my real name, but I won't tell you my real name. Got 2 kids. I don't know. Quirky. Can't say the word soldier and shoulder. Soldier and shoulder. I always get those two mixed up. That was like a thing
Great.
from when I was like in 2nd grade. I couldn't say those 2 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so honored that you came on today, and I had just a blast chatting with you and getting to know more about you and your books and your process and just all of it. It was just such a treat. So I really am grateful for you being on here, and then also, your interview of me and that you promoted my stuff. I really am grateful for you for that. I wasn't expecting it, so it was definitely, I appreciate it a lot.
There's a lot of author interviews on there, which is great because it gives them a platform. They can kind of spread more information about themselves, and then other people can find them through my readers. So it's all just networking and cross-promoting. That's fun.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing that you do. And so I'll put all the links and the different things that we talked about in below if you want to check any of those out. And definitely, if you have a book bestie that you think would like this interview, please share and please like and subscribe. You can find both of us on Instagram, but I will also put those information below about how you can find her and her books. And definitely check them out. They are phenomenal. And that is our episode today for our look behind the book. And thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.